I'm Sebastian St. James. What are the 10 best ways to save money right now? Now, they have to be the 10 best ways. I will not settle for just any 10 ways, so I thought I'd need to bring in some expert help. My first thought was to ask MrBeast, but there's a problem. Can you spot it? I'll give you a moment. Yes, MrBeast bleeds money. Survive 100 days in Circle, win $500,000, which MrBeast is paying. 456,000 Squid Game in real life. Which, if that red progress bar is correct, it appears I've watched the first minute of a MrBeast video. I'm sorry, it will never happen again. The problem is, MrBeast is always giving away money. $500,000, $456,000 he's giving away. That last one seems oddly specific. The best ways to save money? Clearly, an area where MrBeast has no skills. The problem is, I really need somebody Australian. Somebody who understands that I love our sunburnt country, a land of sweeping plains, 10 ways of saving money, that understands the strains. My first thought was Humphrey B. Bear. Here's an Australian. As Australian as any person dressed up in the suit of a North American brown bear ever could be. But it turns out Humphrey has been carelessly wasting his money on oversized books and needless polka dots for his floor. Oh, Humphrey, you are not setting a good example. So together, Kuan and I have come up with the ultimate list of money-saving tips that you've never even dreamt of before. So, here's Kuan with his 5 best money-saving tips.
Thank you, Sebastian. If we've never met before, I'm a tax dispute specialist for the Australian government who has been working in tax and superannuation for the last 10 years. With that kind of experience, it is no surprise that my first money-saving tip for you is for you to use your superannuation to reduce your tax, because superannuation is literally a superpower.
I'm rich.
Superannuation is the greatest tax dodge in Australia because under Australian law, when you invest through your superannuation fund, you get to save tax in 3 different ways. Firstly, you are allowed to invest some of your before tax income by putting it into your super fund through a salary sacrifice arrangement or a personal deductible contribution. When you do this, you won't need to pay any income tax on that money, which can be as high as 47%. Instead, you will be taxed at 15%. So depending on how much you earn, the amount of tax that you save is equivalent to a guaranteed return on investment of between 19.5% to 32%. This is actually an obscene amount of money to save. Warren Buffett is known as the greatest investor of all time because he was able to deliver an average annual return of 20%. You can get the same return or better entirely risk-free just by putting money into your super fund every year. Secondly, when you invest through your super fund, all of your investment earnings are taxed at a much lower rate of 15% instead of at your marginal tax rate, which again can be as high as 47%. Let's say you own $100,000 worth of an ETF that returns 7% per year. If you paid 47% income tax on your 7% earnings every year, this is how much money you'd have after 30 years. However, if you bought $100,000 worth of the same ETF through your super fund, this is how much money you'd have after 30 years. The difference is due entirely to the lower tax rate on investment earnings. So it obviously makes much more sense to invest within your superannuation. Thirdly, after you retire, all the earnings from your superannuation investments become entirely tax-free. Imagine 2 Aussie investors, both retired, who have both built up $1.75 million worth of investment assets. Tony has $1.5 million of assets outside of his super and $250,000 in his super fund. Sarah is the other way around. She has $1.5 million of assets within her super fund and only $250,000 outside her super fund. Their investments both earn them 6% return or $105,000 every year. How much tax do you think Tony needs to pay on these investment earnings every year? The answer is over $21,000. Sarah, on the other hand, with the exact same amount of investment assets and the same investment return, doesn't pay a single cent of tax because most of her investments are within her superannuation, which gives her superpowers.
I'm rich.
If Tony and Sarah both live for another 25 years, Tony would end up paying more than $500,000 of extra tax because he didn't plan his retirement properly. Don't be like Tony. Follow this first tip and use your superannuation to reduce your tax. So we've established that superannuation is important, but this doesn't mean that we should invest with any old fund, which leads to my second tip. Don't let your super fund rip you off. Did you know that Australians pay over $30 billion with a B in fees to superannuation funds every year? Do you think that's perhaps a little excessive? Unfortunately, smacking its members with high fees is a pretty common practice within the Australian superannuation industry. The reason that they get away with it is because most of us don't know or care enough about our superannuation to notice that it's happening. If I asked you right now how much your super fund was charging you, would you be able to tell me? The result of this apathy is that Australia has kind of become the laughing stock of the finance world. While the rest of the world has embraced investing through low-cost index funds and ETFs, the overwhelming majority of the money in Australia's $3 trillion superannuation system is invested through managed super funds that charge an investment fee of anywhere between 0.5% and 1.5% every year. This graph compares a super fund that charges 1% per year in fees with a low-cost index fund that charges 0.06% per year in fees. Assuming the same investment returns, the member of the low-cost fund will end up with an extra $270,000 by retirement age. It's not rocket science. Lower fees equal higher returns because you have more money left after the fees have been deducted to compound over the years. Is it possible to avoid these investment fees and put your superannuation in a low-cost index fund? The answer is yes. An increasing number of super funds offer indexed investment options with low fees. So if you're with any of the big super funds like Australian Super, Rest, Host Plus, Hester, and Sun Super, you'll have an option to switch your superannuation from the default managed fund option to an indexed investment option within the same super fund. Some super funds like Host Plus, for example, will allow you to directly invest in low-cost ETFs. If your super fund doesn't offer either of these options, then perhaps it's time for you to consider switching to a super fund that does. Because tip number 2 is don't let your super fund rip you off. When people, especially young people, approach me for the first time and ask, "Hey Kuan, I want to be better with my money. What should I be doing?" I don't tell them about superannuation or tax or investing or anything complicated. Instead, I tell them to take out their phone and to download the 7-Eleven app. If you're not familiar with the 7-Eleven app, it's basically a way to get cheap fuel. When you open the app, it uses your current GPS location to find the cheapest 7-Eleven fuel price in your local area. You can then lock in that cheap fuel price for 7 days. When you next fuel up at any 7-Eleven, you can scan the app and you'll be charged the locked-in fuel price. So if the petrol station was displaying $1.90 a litre and you locked in $1.50 a litre, you would save $20 on a 50-litre tank. It's a pretty cool app that lets you always pay the cheapest local price for fuel. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty minor saving, especially if you compare it with tip number 1 and tip number 2, which will both save you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout the course of your life. Tip number 3 is to build money-saving habits even if they seem small and insignificant. You see, the 7-Eleven app has nothing to do with cheap fuel and everything to do with your identity and who you see yourself as. Clearly, the 7-Eleven app is not the thing that's going to save you enough money for early retirement, a home deposit, a trip around the world, or whatever your financial goals may be. But it will make you the type of person who thinks, "Hey, why should I be paying $1.90 a litre for fuel when I can pay $1.50 a litre?" And after you use it for a while, you start to see yourself as a person who likes to save money. Maybe you'll start to think, what else can I save money on? Perhaps you find a way to save money on groceries. Perhaps you stop buying things that you don't need. Perhaps you turn your hobby into a side hustle. Perhaps you start investing. And suddenly you find yourself well and truly on the road towards financial independence. Downloading the 7-Eleven app may have been a small step, but it was your first step. And every journey has to have one of those. So build money-saving habits, even if they seem small and insignificant. As an Aussie, your most valuable asset is most likely to be your family home. It is also where you will find the biggest savings by making smart decisions. But in order to make these smart decisions, you will need my fourth tip, which is to understand that your bank is not your friend. Home loans in Australia are very different to other countries. While most mortgages in the US, for example, will have a fixed interest rate, home loans in Australia will typically have a variable interest rate. Why is this significant? For two reasons. Firstly, it means that most Australian home loan borrowers are not locked in for fixed rate periods, and so they can easily refinance their home loan. Secondly, because it's so easy for borrowers to refinance, banks in Australia pretty much try to poach customers from each other by consistently offering better rates to new customers than their existing ones. Recent research from Lendy shows that the average Australian bank will charge their existing customers on average an extra 0.86% on interest rates. At the big four banks, the markup is even higher at 0.91%, which equates to forking out an extra $70,000 over the life of a $500,000 mortgage. Which, if you think about it, it's bloody ridiculous. But that's just how things are in Australia. There's simply no reason to stay with your bank because they care much more about making money than they do about you. Loyalty will earn you nothing other than a higher interest rate. In fact, that's precisely the term they use to call the extra interest banks charge to existing customers. A loyalty tax. And guess what? On top of offering a cheaper interest rate, banks are straight up giving new customers free money to refinance to them. Plenty of banks have cashback offers of between $2,000 and $4,000, which tip the scales even further in favor of being a new customer. So let me ask you, do you want to be the person who everyone is trying to poach and who gets offered the best deals as well as free money? Or do you want to be the loyal customer who gets screwed over by higher interest rates that will cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the life of your loan? Because if you're on a variable interest rate right now and you haven't refinanced recently, I can guarantee you that I can find a better deal for you with another bank. But why don't you take some time to have a look and see for yourself? If you want to have the lowest possible interest rate available on the market for your most valuable asset, you need to understand that your bank is not your friend. The extra interest that the banks charge existing customers is called a loyalty tax, but I don't think that's the reason why a lot of Aussies choose to stick with their bank. I think a lot of people choose not to refinance because, well, it's much easier to keep doing what you've always been doing instead of doing something different. But this type of thinking can be very costly, which is why my final tip is do not fall prey to inertia. The tendency for humans to keep doing whatever it was that they were doing previously is something that businesses all around the world try to take advantage of. It's why the banks spent so much effort to bring in new customers but don't do very much for their existing customers. They're betting that their existing customers will stick around because of inertia. And for the most part, they're right. But inertia is something that can affect you even if you don't have a home loan. For example, more and more businesses these days are using a subscription model because they know that it's way easier for us to pay for another month of Netflix than it is for us to cancel it. A study conducted in 2021 showed that 90% of consumers underestimate how much they spend on subscriptions every year. Do you know exactly the amount that you spend on your subscriptions? If not, it might be time for a subscription audit. The steps for a subscription audit are simple. Just log into your bank's websites and download the monthly itemized statement for every account that you have. Next, go through these statements and identify every recurring payment linked to a subscription. Make sure you go back a whole year to ensure that your audit covers off on subscriptions that might only renew once a year. Once you're done, go ahead and cancel every single subscription service that you didn't use in the last month. Be brutal with your cancellations. Don't and ah about. Don't say to yourself, I want to keep Prime because I'm waiting for the next season of The Boys to come out.
For many years, we've watched TV.
If you're not using it now, but you want to use it later, there's nothing stopping you from getting rid of the subscription now and just resubscribing when you want it again. And remember, these businesses operate in the same way that banks do. They spend way more effort to bring in new customers, and so they offer free trials and cheap subscription deals all the time. Maybe one of these deals will pop up when you actually want to use the service again, and you get to save even more money. After you've cancelled these subscriptions, you can take the money that you saved and spend it on something else instead. Invest it in ETFs, donate it to the guide dogs, buy yourself a coffee machine. Literally anything is better than giving it to a mega corporation for providing a service that you don't even use. It is a principle that will serve you well, not just with your finances, but also with your life, because taking the easy path and sticking to what's comfortable, what you've always done, can do you more harm than good. Do not fall prey to inertia.
Amazing tips there. I calculate, carry the 3, I've saved $176.35 already. Thank you, Kuan, for coming and meeting my lovely YouTube audience.